Hello, guys. I don't know if I ever told you this or if you listened to one of my stories. I was saying that the preparation for these stories is a lot of work, and that's why I don't edit my voice records or my stories because it's so much work. I will have nothing to do in life but to prepare them, which is worth it for me because it's my passion. And I know with time the channel will have a lot of followers. Hopefully, I don't want to be that arrogant, but I think it's worth following because of all the weird, crazy stories. But today's story, sincerely, I have never done this. It's so interesting, so crazy. The train of events is like logos. Someone is putting them together, and it took 70, 60 years, 50 probably. I don't know the the length of it because it's happened in the 40s, extended to the 50s, but it ended just recently. The people actually, the grandson told the story on TV, on national TV for the whole country to hear it, and then the story crossed borders and to became famous around the countries in the Gulf area, the Arabic Gulf, or some people call it the Persian Gulf. It depends on which side of the Gulf you are. Oh, Persians like to call it Persian and Arabs like to call it Arabic. Anyway, yeah, without any further suspense, let's start it. So, as I mentioned, the story happened in multiple countries because of the length of time it took people move around. The story happened mid or late 1940, in the 40s. And at that time, a guy married a girl from Yemen. The guy is from Saudi Arabia, married a girl from Yemen. And usually the women follow the man in that part of the world when they get married. So he brought her home, had a kid. Like the kid is probably 2 years old, which is the main character of our story. Her name is Noora. It's a girl. The parents divorced after 2 years, so the guy got left with his baby and the mom left back to her family. Usually the women take the kids. Those nations don't fight over kids. Whoever want to take the kids can take them. It's not like in the Western world. I see my friends like crazy divorce and battles over kids. Kids are a burden. You're crazy if you want to have the kids full time with you and fight and don't want to share the responsibility. It's crazy to us because it's a lot of work. But in this story, for some reason, probably the mom lives far away. She didn't have an income. Usually, they are a baggage. So if you want to marry again, it's a minus in your credit score to be appealing for the party who want to marry you. So the girl stayed with her father. He has to work. So these nations, as I told you, they live among big families. So when he went to work, she kind of grew up with that family, which is his brother, because he has a stable house, has girls and boys and a wife, and so she stayed with them and she became like part of the whole family. The father actually never got married and he lived in the northern part of Saudi Arabia. I don't want to confuse you with weird names, it's not significant. So and she is almost 12 years old, and he decided to do the pilgrimage in that black box they call Mecca. The city is called Mecca, and the black box is called Kaaba. So I don't know if it's a new information for you, but I think Mecca is very famous. Everybody knows what Mecca is. And so he want to do the pilgrimage there. And people, it's like a melting pot, that part of Saudi Arabia, because people from all over the world go there and meet in one time. It's like the center of trading in the back in the days, camels and ships, and everybody passes through that. It's like that port. They have a Jeddah port, and then from Jeddah you take a car or camel and go to Mecca. So it was a big trading area, so people meet people from all over the world. And Nora's father met this Egyptian guy, chat, told him his story, where he came from, and his wife divorced. He has a small daughter. And the Egyptian guy told him, well, I have a 20-year-old sister if you want to marry her. No, not a 20, she was 28. And Nora's father is 40 something. So, yeah, I have a sister, she's 28. She has a kid, but you can meet the guys and see if you guys click. And so Nora's father said, yeah, definitely, I would like to meet her and see if we can get married. And he liked her, she liked him, and they got married in Mecca. He took his wife and went back and surprised the family with the new wife in Shimal, in the north of Saudi Arabia. And she and her son, who was 7 years old, lived in the house. And but she wasn't a good stepmom, as usual, like the classic story. She was a really bad stepmom. Actually, we are gonna call this woman Karen. I decided her name is gonna be Karen because she's a real Karen. But you will be happy at the end that Karen got what she deserves. Not happy, maybe it's morbid, but anyway, I can't call out the story, but it's full of events. You have no idea. Wait. Anyway, so Karen start acting like Karen. So actually, she did nothing in the house. Noora learned how to cook because she left her uncle's house. So she has to stay in this house with her dad and her new stepmom and live like a normal family. She was the one who was cooking. She was who was doing the laundry. And back in the days, there was no machine, so everything was manual. It's a lot of work. The cleaning, if they have a chicken in the house, and she was the mom in the house. Actually, too, she took responsibilities of Karen's kid. So she became his mom. Because Karen would never wake up on time. She would wake up late. She doesn't cook. And she's naggy. Naggy in a way where she was bugging Noora's father, telling him, hey, I think your daughter is of an age where she's a mature woman, and she has to have her own house. Like she's suggesting, hey, we need to give her away for marriage. And she was really young. In that nation, you really marry young, Noora was really young. So it was unfair. If she was really what she's saying, that she's mature and want to have kids, some women are like that. They are longing to marry and have kids as soon as possible. But she was a kid. She was just running around. And she never thought about getting married, or she doesn't understand what marriage is. But that was Karen's idea, so she get rid of the girl. Her father, girl, you think so? She's really a kid. He told him, no, a woman knows a woman. She needs to get married. She's really good in the house. So the poor guy believed her, so he went to his brother and told him, hey, Karen is telling me that we should give away Noora for marriage. Are you guys interested? You know that nation, cousins' marriage is legal. It's actually preferred. So if there is a family wealth, it gets kept in between them. Usually they don't fight because the families are close to each other and they don't want to break it up. And stuff like that. So people love it. Though in the faith itself, it's frowned upon because it brings genetic diseases, as their book says. It's better to, now we call it genetic disease. Back in the days, they said it's better for the kids to be away from the family or the cousins. Even if it's third or fourth class cousin, it's still preferred to be completely with different different family, if not a different nation, which strengthened the kids, as their book says. Anyway, so it's frowned upon now. But back in the days, it was a preferable thing. So he was shocked that his brother said, brother kids, they said, no, she's like one of our kids. We don't feel like that toward her. And to be honest, that's what the report says. It says that poor Noora was an average girl. I'm so sorry. She was an average girl. She wasn't that pretty, so her cousins didn't want her, and nobody asked for her marriage. So the dad just told them all, Karen, that there is no way, she's young, and I don't think my brother kids are interested in her. And she said, no, what are you talking about? What are you saying that she's not going to get married? He told her, woman, what do you want me to do? Shall I go and advertise about her among the neighbors and in the town? So she stayed silent and she started plotting for the next move. So her next move, what Karen, she said, oh well, now it's a year passed, so not a year actually, 3 years passed, and Karen was really uncomfortable. She really thought about having the girl getting married. During those first 3 years, she was nagging about him for her to find marriage for with her cousins or anybody. And after that, when he completely told her there is no way for her to get married um, from her cousins, she started plotting for the next step. And the next step was for her to claim that Noora is doing inappropriate stuff with her son and that she's worried about him because she so wanna get married that she's doing it wrong with her son. God damn. So the husband says, no, are you sure? She said, yeah, they are lovely with each other. They sleep with each other, and if you don't believe me, sneak in her room in the middle of the night and see what's going on. Only then you will believe me. You always think I'm lying. And believe it or not, the guy that Abu Noora did the same. Like, he's in denial of what she's saying, but he has to see with his own eyes, as she claimed. So in the middle of the night, he wanted to sneak in, but guess what Karen did? She poured water in her son's bed, so it's wet. He can't sleep. So she asked Noora, could you please let, his name is Marwan. Could you please let Marwan sleep in your bed, share your bed for tonight, because his bed is wet? And Noora said, yeah, sure, because he's like her son. She loves him so much, and he loves her too, more than his mom. He even, when his mom called him, he doesn't respond to his mom. He's that attached to Noora and that much in love with her. Like a mom, because she takes care of him and change his clothes and comb his hair and take him out and teach him stuff. Spend time with him. His mom didn't care if he existed or not, never invested time with him, as the report says. So she wasn't even a good mom. It's even worse gonna get. Wait for it. The poor kid, and so Noora took him in her bed, and after midnight, Abu Noora sneaked in the room and he opened the door and he saw Marwan sharing the bed with Noora, and they were like cuddling and like a mom and her son, and it's normal, like nothing suspicious going on. So the mom told him, you see, I told you she is doing stuff with my son. Why he's in her bed? And Abu Noora freaked the hell out because that nation is religious and this is a serious thing. What's going on? So he said, well, we have to think about this. And he was so stressed out about it and so mad. He even started beating up Noora. What are you doing in the bed? Why are you sharing the bed with Marwan? And Noora freaked out and she woke up. She was deeply asleep and she said, I'm so sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. His bed was wet and so he spent the night with me. And the father didn't even listen to her. He kept beating her and then he left the room, slammed the door and took the kid with him, Marwan, and left the room. Of course, poor Noora started crying. She doesn't know what's going on. But that night he didn't sleep, the father, thinking about what he can do. When he woke up in the morning, he told his wife, listen, this is a very serious matter. I'm going to talk to the sheikh, which is like a priest for them in the mosque. I'm going to go and talk to the sheikh, and I want to see what he suggests, because this is a serious matter. So he went to the sheikh, explained to him what's going on, that she's 17 years old now, and he is 11 or 12, and she's 17, 18. And told him, this is the situation. I have a new wife who had a kid from another man, and there is something suspicious going physical going on between him and my daughter, and my daughter is older, she's 17, which I had her from another woman, so they are not related, but what do you think we can do? He said, well, separate them. And the dad says, well, we live in the same house, and our house is small, they share a room, and even if we separate them, I think it will continue. So the sheikh told him, well, and Abu Noora told him, well, I have an idea. That's why I came to consult you about it. He said, can we get them married just so we don't, that it's not becoming a sin, even if they're not going to do anything. So they can at least spend the time in the bedroom alone. So it's not a sin. That was his main concern, that it's not a sin. And the sheikh told him, well, yeah, it's never a kid that age, but usually the boy is older than the woman, and the woman is the young one, but why not? It's not like something forbidden. And believe it or not, Noora and that kid got married. Of course, the father, when he went to the house and told Karen about the sheikh opinion, Karen, she said, on my dead body, impossible. My son marry your daughter? He's a kid. What are you talking about? And Abu Noora told her, well, pack your stuff and leave you and your son. He cannot stay in the house like that. And my nephews don't want to marry Noora, so what do you think I'm gonna do? Just keep sinners in my house and just keep watching? So that's what I have, and either you approve it or you just leave. So Karen thought it's gonna be just for a little bit, for a couple of years, and then he will grow older and he will divorce her, and she didn't want to leave Abu Noora because she lived a comfortable life with him. And after that, of course, they got married, and they lived like any kids, just kids sharing the room, and the love between them became really crazy. So Noora got independent. She stopped cleaning in the house for her stepmom. She was eating in the room with him, and they seems to be having so much money because they were in love before even the marriage, like a mom and a son relationship. But now it became even deeper and stronger, and their love is really deeper. So they caused Karen to get jealous because he became so close to Noora, that to the point that he stopped talking to his mom, responding to his mom, and he's not affectionate with his mom like sons usually do. And that even made Karen actions really bad with Noora. So one day Noora wanted, and Noora was aware of it. So and one day Noora came and she wanted to get Karen. She told her, well, I think I feel nauseous and I don't feel well and I'm always tired. You think I could be pregnant? Of course, I don't know anatomy. The kid is just 11 or 12 years old. Probably you guys know better. I don't know if they can make kids that age, but if you know, just write it in the comments. I can't believe it happened, but it happened. Noora thought that she's pregnant, and she was really doesn't feeling well, but she didn't know she's pregnant. She was lying to her stepmom or Marwan's mom just to get her angry and jealous. She told her, I think I feel nauseous and not well. Do you think I'm pregnant? And Karen said, yeah, if you feel like that, that means you are pregnant. And Karen, of course, didn't take that easy. So she started again plotting for against Noora. So at night she went to Noora's father and told him, Noora told me she's complaining of pregnancy symptoms. I don't think my young child, he's a kid, impossible he get her pregnant. I think your daughter is doing something. And Noora's father says, what? What are you talking about? And the father really got really annoyed by the topic, and he's supposed to be happy, but he got so angry, the poor guy got a stroke and he died. She caused her husband to have a stroke and he died in a young age. He was a little bit over 40, probably 46 or 45 by now. The poor guy. And so now the house, all of it is for Karen to plot against Noora, the poor girl. And of course, Noora, with time, her belly starts showing. So she told her uncle and his wife that she's pregnant from this kid. And they were shocked, like, are you serious? He can get you pregnant? And she said, yeah, it happened. And so they started bringing food for her and taking care of her until one day Karen just got fed with it. The house is not worth it. It's just a small house. She didn't inherit that much money from her husband. And she decided suddenly to pack her stuff when Noora was at her uncle's house. And it's not a taxi. Back then, I don't think there is a taxi, but it's a guy who carry people. Like if somebody on a donkey or a horse with a wagon, you could call them to take you somewhere out. So Karen called someone like that, and he took all her baggages and stuff, and she just walked away. She left without a goodbye, without notifying anybody, without saying goodbye to anybody, she and the kid. And of course, he's a kid. Marwan is a kid. He didn't know what's going on. He just left with his mom. And probably under force, he couldn't do anything. And he doesn't know his way back. Back then, there was no phones, no nothing. If you move to another city, you cannot come back if you don't know your way. Anyway, so that's what happened. And Noora came back home and nobody was there. She waited and waited and waited, and it's late at night. Nobody came in, so she fell asleep. She was tired. She thought went somewhere and they will come next day in the morning, and they never came back. So she went asking around her stepmom friends, or she reported it to her uncle's house. Hey, she never came back. And so they didn't want to leave Noora alone in the house. So they told her to come and live with them. And now it's a week passed, and they never heard from them. But what happened is that after Karen left with that driver, probably on a wagon or that being dragged with an animal, I doubt that was in a car. Back in the days, the 50s. So he told her, Karen told the driver that I'm leaving the house because my son, his stepdad forced him to marry his slutty daughter that got pregnant from someone else. We don't know how she got pregnant. And so I had to leave her and move on with my life since my husband left. She's not my problem. And she did it on purpose because she knows he lives in the same town, and small town people gossip and talk. And he knows the girl. He knows the story and he knows everything. Because everybody knew that the kids are married in the town, even the uncle. Eventually, this rumor reached the uncle and his wife where Noora was staying. So they started treating her not that good. They stopped cooking. They would hint here and there that she's a bad girl. And Noora didn't like it at all. And Marwan and his mom never came back. So she was sure that she ran away with him. And of course that broke her heart. And now she's pregnant. And so Noora, for some reason, the story doesn't say anything about Noora's mom. Probably she died. She got some type of a disease, cancer or something, and she died young because Noora went and I lived with her aunt, her mom's sister, in the southern part of Saudi Arabia. which is really far away. It's like Montana and Texas. It's that far. I think. I think, yeah. No, probably less. Probably Nebraska and Texas. Anyway, or Midwest and Texas. So it's 19 hours, 20 hours, 23, 20 hours a drive, maybe more. Anyway, so it's really far away from her uncle. And she went and lived with her aunt, and her aunt, of course, welcomed her. She's pregnant. Her kids are her age. She has two daughters and a bunch of boys who are older. The daughters were almost, one was Noora's age, one was older than Noora, so probably 18 and 19. And her aunt husband was a alternative medicine expert. That's the best translation I can come up with, because in that area of the world they have these type of weird herbs and spices and specific plants where they boil them and use them for medicinal reasons, for healing and for as a medicine, definitely, absolutely. And of course, you know that medicines, most of the medicine we have came originally from plants. So he was an expert in that field, and he used to write recipes for people who have arthritis, people who have back pain, people who have fevers, people who can have kids and not have kids, and stuff like that. So Noora had really a blast at her aunt home, and she was loved and taken care of, and until she had the baby. And she was really busy with the baby. Her aunt family helped her with the kid, raising the kid. The the boys, of course, got older and got married. The girls got married themselves and left the house and went to live with their husbands. So Noora was alone, has nothing to do. And immediately, probably after she had the baby and recovered from the delivery and stuff and settled with the baby when he was a year or two, she started working really hard and developed really deep interest in that field, in the alternative medicine field that her uncle, they call him uncle in that piece of right part of the world. Like in the Western world, I think they call the older people uncle. So her uncle, which is her aunt husband, taught her everything, all the secrets about this specific field of science. And that happened, of course, because his daughters got married and left the house. She was helping him with his shop, and the boys has absolutely no interest in this field. So each one had his own business and left the house and got married and have kids. And now Marwan grew up, and he's probably now 10 years, 12 years. And he was a really good kid, good in school. Everybody loved him. He's quiet. He's really smart. And Noora the whole time was waiting for Marwan, the father. And of course, she called her son Marwan Jr. So after his father name, Marwan the father. So we will have Marwan Jr. and Marwan the father. She was waiting for him, but she never heard anything about him. She looked him up. She tried to, and back in the days, no phone, nothing. So she asked about him around, but Saudi Arabia is massive, so there is no way to find him. So she thought that he might come and fetch for them, since she told her neighbors to let him know if he showed up looking for her in the north part of Saudi Arabia, that she's with her aunt in the southern part, and gave them the address. Couple years passed now. Marwan, the father, is 18 years old. And one day Noora became so famous in what she's doing because she was really good at it. Uh, her reputation reached Riyadh. Riyadh is the capital of Saudi Arabia, where the royal family stays. So one of the royal family people heard about this woman in the southern part of Saudi Arabia who's so famous because nobody went to consult her about pain or any disease or anything they have, and she wasn't able to write a medicine for it, specifically back pain or arthritis. And her reputation actually became so big because she's a female and she knew how to treat women who cannot have kids. So one of the royal family members was having arthritis, really bad case of arthritis, and he sent one of his people to go and fetch for this woman in the southern part of Saudi Arabia and buy that medicine that went viral in the country, and actually the neighboring countries too, like Bahrain and Qatar. She after that told the guy who came fetching for this medicine that I'm gonna make a big amount for you, so in case Her Highness needed more. And she gave it to him, and he went back to Riyadh, and miraculously the princess, it's not a prince, sorry, it's the princess, she healed so well and so quick on it. She demanded that Noora come and move and meet her. She wanna thank her for what she did. So they sent the messenger again to Noora, inviting her to meet the princess. Noora took her son and packed her bags and went to, or no, she left her son, I think. Yeah, she left her son and with her aunt, and she went to meet this princess. And when she arrived to Riyadh, the princess welcomed her, gave her a big gift and big amount of money, and she told her, I need you to stay with me. Can you live here next to us? You are very valuable, and I think you should stay in the capital. You will do better financially here, and we need you in the town, in the city, or in the town back then. Noora was shocked by her offer, and she told her, you can stay with us and we will take you in. And Noora said, I have to talk with my aunt and see what she's gonna say. I would love to stay with you, but let me go, and I have a son there. He has to move with me. And she told her, everybody's welcome with you. Your son is welcome with you, and whenever you want to come, just let me know and we'll come and pick you up. Noora said her goodbyes and went back to southern Saudi Arabia. Of course, there are no phones, and she was shocked when she walked in. That was a funeral. Not a funeral, it's after the funeral. They go through a sad period where people come and say their condolences. It's that period of time. So she said, what's going on? What happened? And her aunt told her, well, your uncle passed away a week ago. Because back in the days, the traveling takes days if you're going to be on a camel or a donkey. Or on the train. I think the train was active back then. So she spent days there, probably a week or two. And when she came back, she found out that her uncle has passed away. So her aunt was going to be alone in the house if she left with her son Marwan and moved to Riyadh. And she told the aunt what the princess offered her, and she said, yeah, I don't know, no objection over the idea. Are you sure you want to move? She said, yeah, it was really fun. They took care of me there, and I think we all should move there. She said, the princess said the business will do better there. So she took her aunt and moved with her son to Riyadh. And she settled there, and probably around that period, going back to Marwan when he wanted to look for Noora, as I told you, he was 18 years old by this time, because years passed and he couldn't get away from his mom to see his son and his wife. Now he's 18 and he thought he should go and look her up. So he went to the northern part of Saudi Arabia where he got married with her, and asked her uncle, which is her father brother, the one who raised her with his kids, but because of their bad attitude with her, believing the rumors, she left them and moved to the southern part of Saudi Arabia. They told her, well, she moved with her aunt, and they gave him the address and her name, and he went to the southern part in Saudi Arabia, asked around, but nobody knows where they are. They told him they moved out, but they don't know where he moved out. Where they moved out, I mean. And that's it. And months passed and years passed, and Noora was still have hope that one day he will show up and she will find him or he will find her. But for some reason, God knows, probably because he was young and distracted and under stress, he wasn't thinking straight. He never left his information. He went to the northern part and southern part of Saudi Arabia, couldn't find her, and he just walked away and never came back again. Because nobody knows about anybody where they moved. Back then, there was no yellow pages, and there was or phone pages, or phone books, and no phones, nothing. But with time, I think ID cards came up. And probably border controls too. It's the 60s now. And early 60s, I think, yeah. And going back to Noora and the princess and her aunt, they just settled there. And Noora developed a life, and Marwan grew up. Yeah, so back to Marwan, now that the story has ended, I think the report says he was so excited that he heard that he had a new son, he forgot to leave his information, and instead of just walking away, he could have given them to anybody. When he couldn't find the home in southern Saudi Arabia, because they gave him the aunt house, they didn't give him anybody's house, and when they left, Noora and her aunt to Riyadh to stay with the princess and live, she told the neighbors, but he never thought about knocking the neighbors' doors. Anyway, the story has so much details, it's crazy. So we still have to tell the story of when the stepmom Karen left with Marwan when he was 11 years old or 12 years old. Where did she go? Where did they disappear? What happened the past all these years until he became 18? Why he went to look for Noora just when he turned 18, 19 years old? Why he didn't come before or try or do anything? So that require another chapter and another episode. I think I shouldn't tell all of it here. I'm tired, and I'm sure you guys are tired. It's gonna take over an hour. It could take actually 2 hours. It's ridiculously crazy story. Like this, as I told you, the train of events is definitely not a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason, and specifically this story was crazy to the point that the grandson of Marwan, the father, Marwan Jr., came to TV and told the story, and they made interviews with him, and he told the whole story, and most of them are still alive until today, in their 70s or late 60s or early 80s probably, I don't know, early 70s. Until next story, please subscribe if you are new to my channel, and like and comment if you have any questions, as usual. And see you in the part number 2 of this episode. Take care, and love and peace your way.